Hello Tube Dwellers and welcome. I'm the Arcadean and this is Mabinogi Duel. Today we're using a variation on a classic budget deck featuring Magician Masked Field. As always, if you'd like to copy this deck directly into your game, the share code has been provided up in the top right hand corner. So without further ado, let's get into this. As always, we'll be running in the 1v1 friendly arena because the PvP arena takes too long once you're up in Platinum. And at that level, you really should be prediction counterpicking anyway. Run 3 decks. We're using the Banoba Hero at the moment for 2 reasons. One, I just quite like her. And the other is that she's actually quite good at helping to shut down the Zombie Combiner Karam combos that you'll see quite a lot right now. Since those decks rely on bringing out sort of disposable creatures, which then die, it can actually work out against our opponent. Okay, so they're using gold, light, dark with what looks like 2 mutants in it. And so we will drop a hidden spider. If they think we've dropped an ambush vine, then they won't play a creature. So let's see. Oh, they dropped the elephant. That's absolutely fine. We can throw down a heavy offering to take care of that. There we go. Demon Calamus, which will disappear on their turn. Aha, Zombie Combiner already. Excellent. Well, that's why we have Psychic Storm. So goodbye Zombie Combiner and Jumbled Zombie. You shall not be missed. Let's see. Skeleton, that's fine. We will drop an eagle, which will put us into a strong position. Even if they level up, we can still deal attack damage to them on the turn that we level up. And if they don't, and choose to kill the eagle instead, with the Holy Missile, that means that they haven't leveled up, and we get the hidden spider out onto the field. So we still deal damage. Level up to 2. And deal some nice damage there, putting us at a very solid HP advantage. Alright, what shall we do? I think we will just charge up. Actually, we've got a pretty decent lead here. They can't kill the hidden spider with magic, because otherwise it'll just resummon itself. So he's got to play creatures, and I would quite like to have an answer to any creature he may bring out. Here comes Karam, that's absolutely fine. Capture that is the code. Yes, we can. Alright, so let's do that. We will drop... let's drop Hyena King. And capture Karam. Okay, good. Ah, decent positioning. Excellent. Now, I'd be surprised if we didn't have some sort of removal spell or card in gold. A Goblin Shredder or a Flame Emission, something like that. So let's see. Ifrit Ferora. Okay, it's not really what I would consider a removal card, but that's fine. Alright. I think we will level up. And we have a number of choices here. We could Betrayal the Ifrit to get some damage off, and I think that's what we'll do. Because that way, the damage that we deal to the Karam henchman now means that Ifrit will activate her ability for us on her next turn and will kill that Karam henchman. Surprise attack, that's absolutely fine. It kills off all of our creatures except for... oh no, it does kill off Karam as well, which is also no problem. But leaves him at a big HP disadvantage. So we will play Magician Masked Field to put some pressure onto the board. Revive out of the grave to get cards back into our hand. And charge. If we'd had enough nature, it would have been a good idea to put the hidden spider into the grave, just in case, but we don't, so we may do with what we have. Okay, charging towards darkness. Bring out the zombie combiner, that's fine. No problems there. And blocking with Hyena King. Okay, so he's playing defensively, which is no problem. Alright, let's see. There's 5 slots on the field. So what we can do is we can play... We'll think about this. We can play Goblin Bomb Squad. And then the Heavy Offering to remove the Zombie Combiner. Which will also, on his turn, kill one of his other creatures. And we don't have quite enough for the Hidden Spider, so we will charge instead. Alright, we're not doing fantastically... Oh, of course it doesn't, because it gets put there. Silly me. Doesn't matter anyway. With the Zombie Combiner now having been shut down twice, there's nothing he can really do to bring that back out onto the field. Karam can't be summoned because he doesn't have enough light for that. Which means his only real hope is to bring Firora out and fight back, but as you can see, he conceded. So, one of the reasons I wanted to play this deck today was because there's been a lot of quite justifiable outrage recently over the collaboration pack that is only available to Korean and Japanese players. And part of that, by no means all, but part of that is the incredibly powerful cards that have come with it. And it's completely unfair that the global players don't get it. Don't get me wrong. However, as powerful as these cards are, they can be shut down. So, by all means, be outraged by devCAT's poor handling of the release, but do not despair when it comes to the actual duels. With a basic budget deck like this, you can still beat the Karam Zombie Combiner combination without too much difficulty, as you just saw. At no point in that match were we in any way threatened. Now, you do need to build for it, which is unfortunate, but the meta is always going to swing in one direction or another. You're always going to have to build with a certain threat in mind. And that's really all I'm going to say about the TBT collaboration stuff. This isn't really the time and the place. But, yes, budget decks can still be incredibly powerful. Don't feel that you're at a massive disadvantage. You can afford this deck. I think you could build this deck from scratch for a little under $1 million. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, Magician Masked Field is the most expensive card in the deck. And that goes for about 200,000, if I remember rightly. I mean, it's not insignificant for newbies, but it's not exactly going to break the bank. You can save that up in a week. Choco Waffles. Okay. Using Medela, I think that's how you pronounce that hero's name. I'm not so sure. You don't see her very often. Okay, using Gold, Mana, Dark. Interesting. And once again, we will start with the Hidden Spider. I would like to have started with like Hyena King or Skeleton, honestly, but... The good thing about discarding green, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is that your opponent has no idea what you've done. It could be a ambush vine, it could be... Interesting card to play. Alright, we'll drop the Golden Bomb Squad, and then there's nothing she can do about that. Even if she kills the Golden Bomb Squad, it'll still kill our Goblin Archer. I forgot what I was saying. That doesn't matter. Can't have been that important. Discarding mana. Okay, could be a freeze trap, although that wouldn't be too Okay, freeze summon. Interesting. I was going to say there's not really much point to drop a freeze trap because it's not really going to help her. But, okay. I mean, all that did was prevent us from getting 3 damage off on her. But it drained her mana in order to do so. And now that freeze summon has got grave cost on it. That's going to be pretty significant. So, interesting. Interesting. I'm not sure what she was afraid of with that freeze trap. Maybe she thought I wasn't going to play anything. Oh, Altar of Chaos. I like it. Okay. This is an interesting deck. Alright, so Altar of Chaos. Don't come across that very much. 3 Fireball to deal 1 damage to a random creature except itself every turn. Okay. Okay, I can see that. Alright, in that case, we're going to use the Altar of Chaos's ability to our advantage. Now, we could level up, absolutely, but I think what we're going to do instead is we're going to play the Barbarian. If the Altar of Chaos starts laying into the Barbarian, which I hope it does. That's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I had to put the Barbarian down to try to lure some of the shots away from the Altar of Chaos, which would have benefited the Barbarian, but it's actually alright. Now that the Goblin Bomb Squad and the Barbarian are the only ones left out onto the field, every single shot... Oh, ouch, that really hurt, because she's got a lot of... there we go. Okay, so the Bomb Squad goes down, not a big deal. Now Barbarian is the only one out onto the field. Altar of Chaos is going to deal a lot of damage to the Barbarian, which will then charge up its attack, which will then deal some damage. You can see that we've already got her down to 6 HP. That's really unfortunate for her. Given that she has Darkness in her hand, I assume the Altar of Chaos was supposed to be played next to some Cursed Dolls. I think that's probably what she was going for with that. Okay, defensive play. It shouldn't work, though. Oh, that's unfortunate. We don't have any gold cards to play. That is very unfortunate. Oh, well, never mind. We will then... Okay, so that's going to do 3 damage. It's going to take it down to 6, and then the 4. We may be getting a hit, so let's put some pressure on in the form of the skeleton. Again with the free summon. Interesting. So that summons our hidden spider as well, which I think we will now leave at that. We'll charge up on this one. Very interesting. Undine for the freezing, free summon for the freezing. Does she have a dark ice golem? Maybe. I like it anyway. It's a very interesting... Oh, Witch and Fairy. Okay, we are getting all the weird cards today. Very interesting. Very interesting. Unfortunately, for her, we now win. But that was... Yeah, I like it. I like that deck. It needs perhaps a little bit of tweaking just to make it all synergize together, but it's really nice to see people using these cards that you just don't see that much. And Inferia, Undine Akora, Altar of Chaos, Goblin Bomb Squad, Freeze Trap, or Free Summon, these are all very, very good cards. Excellent cards, in fact. I don't know that they necessarily synergize, perhaps as best they could, but nevertheless, good cards, interesting deck. I like that. And that's our 2 fights for the day. That feels like it was quite quick, those 2 fights. It probably wasn't. But, well, you know how it is. You get into it. Alright, so we will go into the binder once the Scam Cat is done with this. No, thank you. Although, you know, again, for newbies, if you don't have Great Harvest, it's actually not a bad card. It used to be used a lot for the old, what was it, Wave of Life, I think it was, decks. I always get confused between the Wave of Evolution and the Wave of Life. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Wave of Life decks. Used to be used a lot there. That card since has been nerfed. Unfortunate, but hey. Still, decent card. Can actually fit into a surprising number of decks. Most people don't use it at the moment. Colorless Soulstone and Cell Soul are, or were at this point, the resource generating cards of choice, but nevertheless, not too bad. Anyway, not important. So, this is the Magician Mask Field budget deck. Now, again, it's very, very simple deck. Very cheap, very easy to get a hold of all of these cards. No problems with any of this. And you should be able to build it for absolutely nothing. And again, I wanted to make the point that although there are very powerful cards out there, especially right now with the games being flooded with Karam and Zombie Combiner and cards like that, there are a lot of powerful cards out there, but no card is truly overpowered. Every card can be beaten, and every deck can be beaten. It doesn't even require the best possible cards. Sorry, Rafe, but you're in the video! Yay! It doesn't even require the best possible cards. You don't need to spend a fortune. You don't need to work for months at it. All you need is just solid, decent cards and enough skill and practice and experience with the game that you know how to use them. So don't despair when you see people bringing out cards that you have no possible way of getting a hold of. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. But you can still come out the champion. All right. Beach over. Now, the cards themselves. Hidden Spider. An excellent card. It's really, really good for when you... Because we have a lot of low-cost creature cards in this deck, it's very tempting for our opponent to try to remove them. And since a lot of people don't necessarily work the resource management as best as they could, sometimes you'll play Hidden Spider on the first turn and then say a Hyena King or a Skeleton on the second turn. Those are one-cost creature cards. Your opponent will remove them with like a surprise attack, 2-cost creature card, putting themselves at a resource disadvantage, and because the Hidden Spider is in the grave, boop, out it comes. So not only have they put themselves at a resource disadvantage, they actually haven't gained anything, because they removed a card for more than it cost to play, only to bring another card right back out onto the field. You can replace Hidden Spider with Ambush Vine if you want to. Ambush Vine is a little bit more aggressive. It punishes players for bringing out creatures, whereas Hidden Spider is more defensive. It punishes players for attempting to remove your creatures. But either one will work absolutely fine. My personal choice for this deck is Hidden Spider, but again, either one's no problem whatsoever. Hyena King, the new go-to one-cost nature card. It's with the prevalence of heavy offering, you don't really want to run Elf and Elephant, which used to be the go-to cards. So Hyena King's the best. If you can't get a hold of a Hyena King, then Elf or Elephant are fine. There's no problem necessarily with that. If you're worried about heavy offering and you don't have Hyena King, then go for Fox instead. Fox is actually a surprisingly good card. Its HP doesn't scale very well, but its attack value is actually very nice. Skeleton, standard, one-cost, darkness creature card. No reason not to put that in there, although if you wanted to, you could perhaps switch that out for a Dark Lady Share. That could be quite interesting, turning the deck into more of a tempo thing. If you find that you're not using Skeleton, you want a little bit more direct damage, you could bring Arrow of Revenge in instead. Heavy Offering. I advise keeping a hold of this. It's very, very useful. As you saw with our first match, not only can it remove creatures just immediately on turn 1 if it's an elf or an elephant, but it can be used to remove nasty creatures later on in the match as well, as you saw when we removed the Zombie Combiner with it. So I would definitely keep that in. If you really, really don't want to, then Arrow of Revenge would be absolutely fine as well. Goblin Bomb Squad has been coming back into the meta. It used to only be found really in PvG, that's Rookie and Veteran Arena, but these days it's actually making an appearance in PvP. It's a very good defensive creature. You play it down, it's got a decent amount of attack, a decent amount of health, but the real trick to it is that whenever a creature kills it, or a spell kills it, anything kills it really, it'll bomb whatever's in front of it, which almost always guarantees the removal, unless it's a huge creature. Either way, it can make your opponent leery about placing a creature in front of it. And if you place it in front of a creature, your opponent will be concerned about removing it. Hunt, standard low-cost removal spell for nature, always carry Hunt. Psychic Storm, we keep around for those level 1 Zombie Combiner, Karam, Henchman kind of combo sort of things. It's very, very useful. Even if you don't get the kill with the Psychic Storm, it will often weaken your opponents enough that you can then kill them with creatures or a hunt or something like that. Barbarian, fantastic card. Again, used to be predominantly PvG, but is making its way into PvP now. With all of these zombie combiners again, and Karams doing low-level damage, putting a Barbarian in front of them can actually be a good thing. They'll damage a Barbarian's attack will charge up, Barbarian will kill. You could replace that with a Dragonman Knight, who does more or less the same thing, but just, I think Dragonman Knight is more defensive, whereas Barbarian is more offensive. If you really don't want either one of those two, then you could move into the Mutants, Gold Albi, perhaps, but I would advise keeping this card at 3 cost or less, because you want to always ensure that you can afford Betrayal. Next, Eagle. Eagle is fantastic, especially, again, I keep bringing this up, but with the Karam and Zombie Combiner decks. Eagle can deal a significant amount of damage, either killing the summon outright, or dealing significant amount of damage to it, which will enable a hunt or similar removal, or even just place a creature, and the creature will deal the damage. Eagle's a very solid card. If you don't want the Eagle, then really any other 3-cost card would work. If you want to outlast your opponent, you could bring in Alron. I don't think she's... Is she 3-cost? I don't remember off the top of my head. But you could bring in Alron. She's close enough anyway to flood the field and use that as defensive positioning. If you're going to do that, you should probably switch one of the gold cards out for Bloody Aurora, just so you can boost them up to kill the summons. But Eagle, it would honestly be my choice. Betrayal, I would not suggest... There we go, bring it up. I would not suggest replacing Betrayal. It's phenomenally useful. Again, as you saw in the matches that we just did, pulling your opponent's creatures onto your side of the field can be huge. Not to bring them up again, but again, with the Karam and Zombie Combiner, if you betray when they are first summoned, then they will go onto your field while they have the summoning sickness. They won't fight, but they will summon. And then on the next turn, they will fight. So basically what you've done is you've not only managed to summon an extra creature onto your side of the field who will stay there, but you have removed your opponent's ability to summon another creature for at least one turn. So Betrayal, very, very useful. If you really are concerned about the Karam Zombie Combiner kind of thing, you could replace one of the Darkness cards, perhaps even Magician Masked Field, with a Chief Guard of Tanor. What he does is, anytime a creature would leave your field to go to your opponent's battlefield, Chief Guard Tanor will keep it. So, and that's a permanent effect. So you can keep the Zombie Combiner and Karam on your field pretty much permanently while Chief Guard Tanor is there. Capture, again, another card I don't really suggest replacing. It can be huge for capturing the big guys, not just the Karam and Zombie Combiner, but any big creature that comes out. If we'd felt like it, we could have captured the Undina Cora if we were worried about summons. We can capture the Doom Machines, we can capture Warlords, we can capture all kinds of big threats. Beastkin Jurgen, all this sort of stuff. Capture is one of those cards I really don't suggest replacing. If you would like to have a big nature creature instead, then you could replace Capture with a big nature creature and then replace Magician Masked Field with Dark Mutant Capture. That would be an idea, but definitely have a Capture in this deck somewhere. And finally, Magician Masked Field. This is the card around which the deck was kind of built, although, weirdly, he doesn't see an awful lot of use. He's one of those cards that you don't need to bring out, and you certainly don't rush bringing him out. But used correctly and in the right situation, he can absolutely swing the battlefield, swing the course of the battle, rather, in your favor. Because he summons Anna, and then you need to kill Magician Masked Field before you kill Anna. Otherwise, she'll just keep regenerating and coming back to life again. So it's very, very awkward. Now, if you're playing Magician Masked Field, always play him to the far right. You want to make sure that Anna is always summoned to the left of Magician Masked Field. That means that if anybody brings out an area of effect spell, like Flame Barrier, Firewall, Holy Spear, Flame Emission, anything like this, that Anna will die first, and Magician Masked Field's effect will activate. Anna will basically survive and be resummoned. Magician Masked Field will die, unfortunately, but at least you won't have lost Anna. Whereas if you summon Magician anywhere other than the far right, there's a chance that Anna will be summoned on his right, in which case an area of effect spell will kill the magician, and then will kill Anna outright, because there's no magician left to save her. All in all, it's a very, very solid deck. You should have absolutely no problem getting into Platinum with it, and it has, and variations of it have been in the top 10 before. I think this exact deck, in fact, actually got into the top 10 2 rounds ago, 4 or 5 days ago. So, yeah, don't worry that you're going to get absolutely stampeded by the new cards that have come out. They're powerful, they are dangerous, they are not to be underestimated, but with the right deck, with enough experience, practice, and just don't panic, you can beat anything. That's it for this deck. Once again, if you'd like to copy it into your game directly, there's the share code up there. And honestly, have fun with it. It's a really enjoyable deck to play. It's got a lot of answers, it's very versatile. I think you're going to enjoy it. I certainly did. So, until next time, have fun, and good luck.